Konbanwa minasan! So glad you are joining us on day 3. I'm Christy Bryant with the Austin Oita Sister City Committee, and we are so excited. Julianne is on the line. She's going to be joining in. She's going to be talking about, what is it, Julianne? You're going to be talking about art, street art, anime, and Oita. I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Christy. My name is Julianne Crute, and I'm on the board of the Austin Oita Sister City Committee. I'm the chair of the Arts Committee, where we bring artists from Oita to Austin. Unfortunately, this year we've had to cancel due to the virus, but you will be seeing videos later, or live streams later, from some of the artists that have either been to Austin recently or we're hoping will be able to come soon once travel restrictions are lifted. I'm also on the social media team, so if you are interacting with us on Facebook or Instagram, you may be interacting with me or other team members. And if you're following us on Twitter, Periscope, or Twitch, you'll be interacting with me. I won't be responding to live comments because I'm quite busy trying to handle recording and slides and things like that, and it's a little bit overwhelming right now because we're quite new to live streaming, but other board members will be reading your comments live, and if you have anything else that you'd like to say to me, I will be reading all of your comments, questions, or other mentions after this broadcast is ended. So thank you very much for spending your Friday evening with us. I'm a fiber artist by trade, and I teach beginning level fiber arts such as sewing and crafting, and we'll be hopefully having a demonstration of that next Friday. In fact, depends on whether I can get my camera set up, but I will hopefully either be demonstrating live how to do certain fiber arts, or I'll be showing you part of my Japanese fiber art collection. I also spend a lot of time at anime conventions in the state of Texas and some others in other states, and I do presentations there which are about cool things to see in Tokyo. But for this occasion, we're going to talk about both art and anime related things in Oita instead. We're hoping that you'll learn more about Oita and this 30-year relationship that Austin and Oita have had. So if you give me just a moment, I'm going to switch over to my slides. My husband and I were very pleased to be able to go to Oita for the first time about a year ago, and we discovered a lot of fun and interesting things there. Oita is a beautiful city, and you can see that pretty much just going to Oita itself is an artistic experience. These are photos of this time last year of the sakura cherry blossoms blooming in the ruins of the Oita Castle. Oita itself is very much a city of art. There's art everywhere you look, and they have made an effort to put so many wonderful and exciting exhibitions, statues, and things like that pretty much everywhere. In fact, the castle that you saw in this previous slide has a virtual castle behind it. These are the ruins of some of the outer walls that you can see in the photos, but the original castle keep was destroyed. Instead of replacing it like in other cities, they created a virtual version. You're able to see on the left that that is a scaffolding. During the daytime, it's not a very convincing fake castle, but at night, look at the fixtures on the left. These were taken from a hotel, so you can see what looks to be a castle illuminated in the nighttime skyline. But that's not where the only art is in Oita. There are museums, 2 art museums, and some other art galleries, a Made in Oita shop where you can buy handmade artisan goods and products, and street art everywhere you look. Oita City has an art museum, and you're seeing here some of the main screens from their website. I did have the opportunity to go through the Oita Art Gallery last year with some of our counterparts from the Oita City Hall. Unfortunately, they do not allow photography inside, so it is quite famous for having a large statue of an elephant outdoors, but the interior, they have classic artworks from all over Japan, and they also have a very large rotating temporary exhibition space. When I was there last year, it was absolutely amazing pieces of the trying to find the Japanese word for it. I believe it's chiriko or kiriko, but basically it's paper cutouts. So they're elaborate, and really I can't even express to you how amazing they were, but unfortunately I don't have photographs to show you. But the Oita City Art Museum is a really wonderful place, and I highly recommend if you're in Oita that you go there. There's also the Oita Prefectural Art Museum. So as you may know, Oita City is the capital of Oita Prefecture. But in Oita City is also the Oita Prefectural Art Museum. This is a photo from the top floor looking down. They have a number of these enormous ceramic vases there. They also have a permanent art collection. You can see on the left that their website has a number of their art displayed on there from the permanent collection, and then they also have a temporary exhibition space. But if art galleries are not for you, there's also street art. Oita has public art installations absolutely everywhere. In fact, we stayed in the Nikko Hotel, and connected to that were two separate buildings. One building connected by a crossworks was the Oita Prefectural Art Museum, and in the basement there were some other art in the hotel. And then another building that was connected to it, unfortunately I can't remember the name, had this wonderful fiber art installation just sitting in a lobby. And it's a wirework frame, and then individuals could go up and add their little strings of yarn to it in an ever-rotating interactive exhibition. In fact, as a fiber artist, I thought this was absolutely fantastic, and if any business in Austin would like for us to do that, I imagine the Austin Fiber Artists, which is a guild that I belong to, would love to put up an interactive art exhibition like this. Let's look at the map of Oita. This is the very, very central portion of Oita, and pretty much everything I'm going to be talking about is in this very small area. The pink dot down here on the bottom is the main train station, and this green area up here is the ruins of the castle and the virtual castle that's now there. This area in between is what I consider like the downtown tourist area, and over here is the Oita Prefectural Art Museum. Now, the Oita City Art Museum, you do need to travel either by public transport or by car, but the rest of this is all within walking distance. And when I say walking distance, I'm a wheelchair user, but it's actually quite easy to get to. Oita is nice and flat and very, very accessible. Let's just show you some of the options that you can see of art just strolling around this area. You notice these plaques that are embedded in the ground. There are probably, 100 different images all up and down these main streets. So if you see this big street here and streets here, there are these plaques of different artwork, different artists. Unfortunately, my Japanese wasn't good enough to actually read the signatures in the corners, but there was just a wide range of art literally built into the pavement along the sidewalks. Now, one of my favorite very large pieces of art is this cat. It was a demonstration that was done several years ago by an art professor and his students, and it was moved from the location on the hill where they made it into an area very close to the castle ruins. So if you're headed towards the ruins of the castle, be sure to check out this awesome, enormous cat. Again, another thing I would love to have be in my backyard, but I'd love to have something like this in Austin. It's just very fun and playful. On the left is an example of just the statues that are everywhere. This is the same street that I was telling you about that has the really cool plaques in the pavement, but there are probably 40 statues just on virtually every corner. The photo on the right is an installation that was in the basement of the Hotel Nikko, which also has shops and other things, and there was a previous exhibition that had been there 4 years prior. The exhibition of these sort of broken and repurposed toys had closed, but the entranceway still had, you can see there's a bunch of Pooh Bears and Toy Story and Panda Bears and other collections that had been repurposed into being this hanging art. So literally we were just kind of wandering around the hotel we were staying in, and as you can see there were 3 different areas that were just connected to the hotel that had art on public display. Let's talk about where you can purchase some of the Oita artisans' work. There is, if you go let me show you on the map again. If you see on the map where it says red brick building, now that's the convenient English translation. That's not really what they call it, but it's the former Oita Bank. And you can see here where it says Oita Bank. This is what the building looks like, and now you can see why it's called the red brick building. But this bank survived the bombings of World War II, and recently, I think last year, 2019, or very late 2018, it was converted into, the downstairs was converted into a shop called the Oitamate Shop. There's also a coffee house, the Taotona Coffee. Inside there, you can purchase a huge assortment of artisan-made goods from Oita or from the surrounding area. Now, this area is particularly famous for bamboo works, but they had, wooden products, there were food products, there were textiles, there were all sorts of things, and they were all very reasonably priced. You can also sample some of the local foods. And so again, if you're in Oita, I really recommend going here. It is quite a good way to get an experience of what the local creative individuals in Oita are up to. Now, that's a review of some of the cool things that you can do that are art related. But like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about anime today as well. So we're going to talk about anime and fun characters, and that'll be a surprise at the end, the fun character bit. But anime and fun characters in Oita and in some of the nearby cities. Like I said, Oita City is the capital of Oita Prefecture, so some of these are just outside the city limits or maybe the next town over. Now for the last 2 days, you've been seeing the Run Monkey Run videos. So maybe you recognize these gorgeous little fellows. This is at Takisakiyama Nature Preserve, which is where these monkeys are allowed to roam free. I could show you hundreds of photos and videos of these guys. It is a really fun experience. But what I didn't know is when you come back from visiting the monkeys, you go down to the gift shop. Now, the front of the gift shop is where you bought your tickets. It's not necessarily a really exciting place, but the back side of the gift shop has anime. Yeah, this is the anime and manga called Gegege no Kitaro. Now, this has been running for, the manga has been running for over 50 years now, and the anime was recently rebooted about 1.5 years ago. I honestly have no idea what the connection is to Oita, because I know there's several places around Japan that have these installations. But inside the gift shop, there is a really fascinating and exciting Kitaro exhibit. You see the gift shop itself. This is on the front. This is the anatomical drawings of these strange yokai. So Gegege no Kitaro is an anime about the non-human creatures and their experiences and exploits. There is one human character, but the rest of them are all from folklore or just creations specific to this show. But first you can see these anatomical drawings. This is Ratman, and this is Kitaro, the main character. And this is literally just the door on the way into the shop. But then, even more magic awaits you inside. There are nearly life-size, and I do mean the character's life-size dioramas of the characters of Gegege no Kitaro. Now clearly they've been here for quite some time, even before the anime reboot, but it's a really fun experience to come look and see what Kitaro's house would look like if you could go into the real thing. Now of course you're in the gift shop, so you can already buy some really amazing stuff. They have a wide range of not only Kitaro, Hello Kitty, and other accessories, but some of them are quite local to Oita. In fact, I bought a Daddy Eyeball as a Kabosu Lime, a Daddy Eyeball dressed up like the monkeys in Takisakiyama. Here you can see Elmo from Sesame Street dressed up as one of the Red Oni. Now, the Red Oni is from a popular tale in the region. And also you can see some of these original artworks that are very, very expensive from the creator of the manga. And these are done in the ukiyo-e style. But they are not inexpensive, so if you'd like to buy me one, I would happily accept. Let's talk more about shopping and experiences. Now, one of the cool things about going to the big cities in Japan is being able to go to anime-specific stores. And if you're as interested in it as I am, then you can spend far too much money and too much weight and have a huge problem getting your luggage back home. But did you know that one of the main chains is called Animate, and there is a location in Oita. Now, Animate, if you've not ever been there, has pretty much all of the current series, all of the current shows, the manga that's available with it, and each individual branch can order pretty much anything, but their selection is already huge. I'm about to show you a video. Now, this was not the Oita location, but it's very similar in size. The Oita Animate is very close to the train station. So again, if you remember the map, these are all fairly close together. But I'm just going to give you a very, very brief experience of what it's like in one of these Animate stores. Aisles and aisles of manga, character goods, Pokemon. There are gachapon. There's Ida bag supplies. These are just a few of the aisles. Now, each one of these aisles can have up to 50 different anime titles that they have the merchandise for. So literally, pretty much any title that you're interested in, if it's been produced in the last 2 or 3 years, you can find the goods there. So you don't have to go to Tokyo. You can find all of this stuff in Oita. So if you're planning a trip to Japan, remember, there's no reason that you have to stop at the big cities because you can just go straight to Oita. There's also a bar called Otalabu, or Otaku Laboratory. You may know the term otaku, which basically means, loosely translated, it means geek or nerd. The literal translation is hobbies that you do at home, but it has more of a connotation of, a geek. And so I have not been there, but this is a bar that is in Oita, again, in that general tourist neighborhood downtown. And this bar is completely covered in anime memorabilia and merchandise and a wall of manga that you can read while you're there. So if you go to Tokyo Creative, they actually have a gallery of someone has been in there. They've done a whole series of things on Oita, and this is one of the bars that they visited. So I will have to say that for my next trip, but it looks pretty fantastic, and you can hang out with a lot of other anime fans just at this small bar. Now let's look at places that are near Oita. You may know that there's a city, whoops, guess you don't want to see my double click to edit. Sorry, I told you this is an experimental process for us, but there's a city near Oita called Beppu. And if you're familiar with Asia Pacific University, where we have a lot of exchange students that come back and forth between St. Edward's UT and APU and vice versa, that city is about 20 minutes drive away from Oita. And in one of the famous tourist sites there, which are the 7 Hells of Beppu, now they're called 7 Hells because they're 7 extremely hot springs and they have a slightly sulfurous smell. But you'll see, this is a picture of me just running into my absolute favorite anime character of all, which is Hozuki and the Zashiki Warashi of Hozuki no Waritetsu, or Hozuki's Cool-Headedness. Now, that is one of my favorite animes because it's a comedy about civil servants in hell, and of course, the 7 Hells of Beppu is the place where he goes one of the places where he goes when he's popping into Earth just to check on things. So, you find tiny little tidbits here and there all over Japan, and if you want to really see things that are outside the big cities, I recommend the 88 anime sites. I can give you that website link later. I promised you a fun character experience, didn't I? Now this is another thing I've not yet been to, but it is high on my bucket list for the next time we're in Oita, and that is Sanrio Harmony Land. You may have heard of Puroland outside of Tokyo, but this is the second Sanrio character amusement park, and this is in Oita Prefecture near Oita City. So again, this is an experience that is not something you can have just anywhere in Japan, but it's really only in Tokyo and in Oita. Finally, if you're interested in more art-related topics about Oita, you can go to the Oita Pride website. They have some articles there that have been, they'll see this little warning here, the page was translated using machine translation, so sometimes it can be a little amusing. but they do talk about art exhibitions and some of the things that are going on in town and things that are coming up. There's also two very famous anime creators who are from Oita. So we have Hiroshi Nagahama, sorry, I have a typo in there, who is the director of, again, another one of my favorite animes, Mushishi, as well as Flowers of Evil, Detroit Metal City, The Reflection, and was the art director of Revolutionary Girl Utena. Ugh. Also, a more recent addition to the anime Oita lineup is Nanamori. You may have heard her in the breakout hit this past year, Weathering with You, where she had the lead female role. And she also appears in live-action dramas. Last 2019, so she was in Tokyo Ghoul S, and right now she is in Last Letter, playing Fuka or Yuri Kushibeno. I believe that's the young Yuri in this currently running morning drama. So that is the end of my slides. Let me transition you back for a moment. So thanks so much for spending a little bit of time with me and learning more about art and anime options in Oita. I'd like to really thank our sponsors, especially First Texas Honda, because they're how I get to anime conventions, and when we were in Oita, we rented a Honda because it's a little bit difficult to get around in public transit. It's definitely possible, but it was much easier to get around Oita and between the various cities in Oita Prefecture with a rental car. So I happened to choose Honda because it's my favorite car. I'll see you next Friday for some fiber art demonstrations. Meanwhile, you can follow me on Instagram at my Instagram profiles of Julianne in Japan and Kintsugi Style. Kintsugi Style is more of my art pieces, and Julianne in Japan is my photos from Japan. And those hashtags are available on the promotional materials that came out in advance of this particular video, and also they'll be on the post, and I can, if you ask for them in the comments, I can tell you that. So thank you very much again, and you can see me again every Friday this month and a few more times in between. So I hope you've had a great Friday. Back to you, Christy.
Thank you, Julianne. That was fantastic. Everybody, I hope you'll join us tomorrow for sightseeing in Oita. Let's see this beautiful city virtually. The Austin Oita Sister City Committee would like to thank our sponsors: City of Austin Cultural Arts Division, TEL, First Texas Honda, Best of Austin Living Team at Keller Williams Realty, Bruce Gardner Insurance and Investments. This project is supported in part by the Cultural Arts Division of the City of Austin Economic Development Department. Thank you to Austin and Oita City Hall and staff. Thank you to Austin Sister Cities International, Sister Cities International. Thank you to the board members who made this possible: Julianne, Marie, Miho, Susan, and Christy. Thank you to all the OSCC board members who regularly volunteer their time. For more information about the Austin Oita Sister City Committee, visit us at austinoita.org. That's austinoita.org, or check us out